Assalamualaikum. My name is Nuratika binti Umar Azali, and in this video I will share with you about the chronology of a bright sparkle firework disaster that already known as the Malaysian Hiroshima. So let's get started. Okay, this is the chronology of the bright sparkle firework disaster that happened at 7 May 1991 on Tuesday. That the bright sparkle factory explosions that left an indelible mark on the resident of Kampung Baru, Sungai Buloh. So how this thing happened? Okay, before this tragedy start, the factory manager, who is a chemist from Hong Kong, they will test a new product inside the factory, and that factory located next to the new village or known as a Kampung Baru, Sungai Buloh. So okay, let's carry on. Okay, this is what happened around the factory that already exploded, around the explosions. The blast described as a Malaysian version of Hiroshima bombing that killed 26 lives and injured almost 103 people, and the factory itself was razed to the ground, and over 200 of residential properties were damaged. And these scenes, as you can see, is like war zone that people were running to find a shelter from the explosions, and debris, brimstone is exploding and created all over the road. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, Sungai Buloh was described as a Hiroshima because it happened 3 times of explosion. First explosion at 3:30 p.m., the second explosion at 3:40 p.m., and the third explosion is at 4 p.m., where the most massive explosions happen. But at 2:30 a.m., the flames still relied from some part of the factory, and at 5 a.m., there's no further explosion happen that makes the rescuer to do their jobs. So the largest explosions happened that could be felt 4 kilometers away from the factory itself, and the pillar of smoke could be seen from 8 kilometers away. So it's, if you can remember back how the US bombing the Hiroshima, so it's a bit like that, the pile of smoke. Okay, and these explosions destroys almost 200 of houses nearby, and 200 tons of brimstones exploded and scattered along the road at across 7 kilometers. So these situations happen where the explosive or the chemical from the experiment split and sparking of a fire that rapidly spread to a nearby pile of a large firecrackers, or known as a bazookas. So the fire were followed by a series of explosions that could be heard and felt far as 10 kilometers from the factory. Next. Cause of the massive traffic jam and delayed the victim to reach the hospitals, and 8 fire trucks, more than 50 firemen were deployed to that place to put out of the fire. But if you can see that when the brimstone skated and the victim was skated on the roads, and that meant the rescuer job is not easy as you can think. And the most one of the most problem is that the water pressure was low and the water tap is too far away from the factory locations. So that made the fire spread quickly with the help of a strong wind. So 8 May 1991 on Wednesday, search and rescue activity were continued and found a lot of corpses in really a graphic conditions, and very, you know that we can't see it in a good way. So some of them without limbs and hit or half-bodied. So as I mentioned before, 103 injured and 26 were killed. Uncertainly exactly how many people were missing. So next. On May 1991, heavy rain for 1 hour and that make a chemical reaction happen and release a poisonous gas that make the rescue job not easy and it give a bigger problem. So on 19 May, because of that poisonous gas, Operasi Api Buluh has been launched to clear all the chemical poison wasted from the factory. As a result of this, HAZMAT were established, or known as a Hazardous Material Unit Team, specialized in handling a chemical and radiations. So, this bright sparkle incident entered the history books as the country's worst industrial disaster that will happen in the Malaysian's history. Okay, so next. Oops. So bright sparkle operating illegally. Okay, operating illegally in Malaysia since 1978 that were considered by Menteri Besar of Selangor, and another source of federal ministry and agency have already given a license. So it still can be seen either this is illegal or illegal. So that's already happened. So next is a case were closed after 15 years. The total of 118 people who injured and had their property destroyed received a lump sum, about 30,000 from Chin Kong Hin, the director of the Bright Sparkle. So after 15 years after the incidents, when the government made a payout for these 118 people that lost their loved one, suffered injuries and ended with the damage of property, they almost of them sued the government. So the Selangor Land and Mines Department, the Petaling District Council, and two director of the company of multiple suits. So the suit were filed after the Royal Commission of Inquiry conclude that the Bright Sparkle Sinar Berhad were responsible for the explosion happened. So that is what happened about the Bright Sparkle disaster. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hello to everyone. My name is Zul Aziz Adimi bin Putra, number metric B081910-188. I'm a second presenter for this assignment. So I will explain what is the effect happen referring to OSH and Environment Act. So after this disaster, Occupational Safety and Health Act OSHA 1994 was enacted on 25th February 1994. So these things, this act introduced after the Bright Sparklers explosion incident. So this act run by the Department of Occupational Safety and Health, or DOSH. This act to make a further provisions for securing the safety, health and welfare of persons at work, for protecting others against risks to safety or health in connection with the activities of persons at work, to establish national councils for occupational safety and health and for matters connected therewith. Next is what has happened. So the main reasons of this disaster is because of lack of safety management from company. So the first thing is poor testing of new products, testing of the new product in an open area near dried chemical product causing a fire spark. Next is the company did not comply with the regulation for the storing of explosive materials, which is storing of finished and semi-finished products in canteen. Next is poor plannings. Factory was constructed near residential area, which is only 30 feet away. Next is operating the factory without license and manufacturing product other than sparklers, which is started manufacturing rocket fountains without approval. Next is poor monitoring and inspection. It was noted that the flow storage of material precaution against fire were bad, but no action taken. The inspection was not followed up. 2 weeks after first inspection, upon installing new machinery, and it was noted that sanitary and hygiene was bad, but the factory department did not follow up the action. The second reason is lack of management from related authorities. Application to register company was made, however, no reply was received from police. Then a company requested to land office to change the land to an industrial lot, but land office did not process the request. And before 1985, Malaysian Custom Department at Port Klang did not control the company importing barium nitrate. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Elwan bin Muhammad Ruslan. I'm from Group 10 and today I will discuss about third infographic for the case study. And our group will research about bright sparklers which happened on May 7, 1991 that happened at Kampung Baru, Sungai Buloh. For the third infographic, we will be discussing about what happened to the victims and ethical issues and laws. Okay, during the tragedy, there is 26 people were killed and 83 people were injured. All victims were taken to the Kuala Lumpur hospital for further treatments. And there are a total of 118 people who lost their loved one, suffered injuries, and ended up with damaged properties. From the interview with the local resident, for the first resident, there is a Lee Kui Lan, 62 years old. He said that out of nowhere we had stones flying into our house, which was located 5 minutes away from the factory. We didn't know what had happened. We sensed something was amiss when we heard loud explosion. From this person, which is a woman that lived with her husband and children, and then moved to their parents' house. And the second resident, we have Ng Han Long, 34 years old. From the interview, he said that we heard fireworks followed by an earthquake. Our parents rushed us out of the house when roof tiles started falling and the windows rattled fiercely. There was a series of explosions which started about 3 p.m. and then stopped for a while before starting again. From this interview, we can conclude that there are two series of explosions that happened during the incident, and the last interview is from the bystander from the Hamzah Buyok. When I was about 10 kilometers from the location, I saw a huge pillar of smoke and felt inside me that something bad was about to happen. And from this interview with this Hamzah Buyok, we can see that the explosion that happened at the Sparkles company is too big, and the process for the fire to put out the fire is take quite a long time because the fire is too big. And for the ethical issue and laws, after 15 years of the tragedies, the authorities officially closed the Bright Sparkle case in 2006, and the government made a payout of 954,685 ringgit. A total of 118 people who got injured and had their properties destroyed received a lump sum of 30,000 from Chin Kong Hin, the director of the Bright Sparkles. No settlement were made with Chung Kin Chuan, the other directors of the Bright Sparkles or the company itself. From this case, we can see that the victims and all the family of victims uh, sued the company, is Bright Sparkles, for what happened to their family, or to themselves. Okay, I think that's all from me.
Very good evening and selamat sejahtera. So my name is Narendra Amidarshan from S21. So my part for the case study will be solution suggestion from group using ethical problem solving technique in chapter 3 and OSHA hierarchy in chapter 7. So for our topic bright sparklers firework disaster, I'm using OSHA hierarchy solution which is from chapter 7. So what is hierarchy? So high refer to the hazard identification to identify the hazard and risk factor that have the potential to cause harm. Second, risk assessment. So a systematic process of evaluating the potential risk that may be involved in a projected activity or undertaking. Third, risk control strategy that allows organization to evaluate potential losses and take action to reduce or eliminate those risks. So for the solution, hazard identification. So it will be firework testing which led to a major accident, which is Hiroshima Sungai Buloh. Second, risk assessment. Due to this explosion, 26 people passed away and 103 people injured severely. The last one will be risk control, which firework factories throughout Malaysia were closed due to the ban on fireworks. Occupational Safety and Health Act (OSHA) 1994 was passed by the Parliament. So the next, using ethical problem-solving technique for the firework disaster in Sungai Buloh. So the first one will be bright sparklers firework disaster. Uh, We will go to safety measure are set according to OSHA 1994. If yes, the firework can be manufactured. If no, make sure the workers are on PPE, which is personal protective equipment, such as safety boot, safety shoe. So if yes, the safety and health of workers is secure. If no, the manufacturing for company located from the resident area. So if yes, the amount of the fatality will low in number. If no, we can ban the firework company in Malaysia. That's all. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abdul Hafiz bin Ahmad Zaidi. Metric number B081910455. I am from Group 7. So today, my friend and I will present about the infographic 5 regarding our topic for this infographic. So we use SGD. What is SGD? So SDG means the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. It aims to transform our world. They are a call to action to end poverty and inequality, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy health, justice, and prosperity. So, by this number 9, we actually focus on to industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So there are two boxes here. So one of them are talking about the building resilient infrastructure and promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and also foster innovation. So the other box is the company must ensure that construction of building structures and also the equipments, facilities are in perfect condition so that the workers, the staffs are always in safe condition. For example, the fire extinguisher, the machines, the water pipes are in perfect condition. For the rest, I will pass to the Dodi to continue this presentation. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faris Iskandar bin Abdulaziz. I'm from section 12, course BEET, and my take number is B0819-10379. Okay, so the topic that we are going to discuss is about the infographic number 5, solution and suggestion using sustainable development goals, or SDG, right? So okay, this is the infographic that I have been do. So infographic number 5, solution using SDG. What is SDG? SDG is a sustainable development goals. Okay, so we're going through the first one. First goals that I use is number 9, goals number 9. So it is about the industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Okay, build. The meaning of goals number 9 is build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Right. So the solution for the case that we have been studying is the company must ensure that the construction of the building structure and the safety equipment are always in a perfect condition, so that workers are always in a safe condition. For example, fire extinguisher, machinery, water piping, or water piping for the sprinklers if there is a fire case. Everything must be in a perfect condition, and maintenance should be constantly checked for safety purpose. Okay, so we go to the next goals. Is goals number 11. It is sustainable cities and community. So in the case that we have been studying, the explosion is until 7 kilometer radius were affected by the explosion from the firework factory. So the goals number 11 is sustainable cities and community. So make city and human settlement inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. So as we know that the explosion were very bad and the cities collapsed. So for our opinion, the solution is such, the factory are not recommended to operate around the city if they want to continue in business. So this is because based on what happened, several areas were affected because of the explosion that happened during the fire. So the company should move the factory in the right area, away from the residential area or city, and the government also need to take a look at the establish of the each company. Okay, so we go to the next goals. Is goals number 12, responsible consumption and production. Okay, so ensure the sustainable consumption and production pattern. So the company should the production of explosive is like this. The company should be more be careful and need to be considerate and responsible for the decision that will happen before or after the production is produced. Company need to limit production according to their ability. So the company needs to schedule their production, not to gain more income, or without thinking about the negative side of the production. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you.